A vision is one thing. Goals can be 100 different goals, right? But a vision is one picture of what you are stepping into 3 to 5 years from today. The big takeaway here is these are the 10 steps that I want you to embrace and really reflect on in terms of making 2025 your best year yet. I like to say embrace reality or get knocked out. Go big or go broke. Ask yourself do you want pain now, or do you want pain years from now when you realize that you were too scared to take the leap now? You were too scared to take a risk now. Cut the dead weight. Follow just one day of excellence habits. Hopefully you won't be like the 90+% of people who never reach their goals when they set New Year's resolutions. Welcome to another episode of the Bill Hauser Podcast. Today, we're going to be going through 10 steps to dominating your 2025. This is an important topic because 92% of people who set New Year's resolutions never end up reaching them. And I'm going to walk through, 10 different ways I think all of us can think through, take action on, reflect on. These 10 steps are really my way of ensuring that every year everything's going to grow this year versus last year. And if you want to have that same thing happen for your life, then listen closely to these 10 steps because they're not what most people will talk about when it comes to setting goals for a new year. So the first thing is to torch your goals. Right? Most times at the beginning of the year, people set goals. And the more goals you set, the less important each goal is, right? So don't even think about goals. Torch your goals and instead get realigned with your vision, right? A vision is one thing. Goals can be 100 different goals, right? But a vision is one picture of what you are stepping into 3 to 5 years from today. And oftentimes, when people set goals at the beginning of the year, they do just that. They just set goals, but they don't actually recalibrate their vision. And I know for me, my entire life, there's really pre-vision Bill and post-vision Bill, right? Until I learned how to actually set a vision for myself, what I call vivid vision, until I actually learned how to do that, I was addicted to goals. And quite frankly, I never reached any of the goals that I set. And I remember this one year, I was so frustrated because I got to the end of the year. I'd set like 25 different goals of things that I wanted to accomplish. I put it all in my notebook. I personally, hand wrote these 25 big goals that I wanted to reach in the year. And I got to the end of the year and I looked at that list of goals and literally none of them were accomplished. So I started thinking to myself, how can I rethink the whole goal setting process? Because this isn't working. If you set 25 goals and none of them get accomplished, it's clearly not the goals that are the problem. It's you that's the problem, right? Because I'm sure someone else set a goal and reached the goal similar to what I set, so I have to be the problem, was how I thought through it. So I went through this process of kind of unwinding goal setting and doing some research on it, and I realized that the problem with goals is there's no emotional anchor to them, right? You're not emotionally anchored. Like I could write down a goal, lose 20 pounds or something like that, but there's no emotional anchor to that. There's no real why. There's no real deep reasoning behind reaching that goal when you just write down words on a page, right? So push goals away for a second and think about, let's use weight loss as an example, your vision for weight loss. Think about, okay, let's say you want to get in the best shape of your life. What does that look like, feel like? Identify exactly what that is so searingly clear that you don't even need a goal. You have a vision for it. You see yourself with a six-pack. You see yourself being able to run a marathon. You see yourself feeling extremely energized every morning when you come into work because you're exercising every single morning. You feel great. that gives you boundless energy in work, boundless energy with your family. It makes you feel unstoppable. You have the best blood work and health work, like when you do health tests, that anyone could ever wish for, right? When you really start putting yourself in the picture of what it means to be in the best shape of your life, you start getting to that emotional context. And then another side of emotional context is what you want to avoid at all costs, right? Like if I don't get my health in check, what's that going to look like? What's it going to look like if I don't drop 20 pounds, if I don't work out every day? What's the end of next year going to be like if I don't reach this goal? Well, I'm going to be in the worst shape of my life. I'm going to have low stamina. I'm going to feel like crap every day. I'm going to want to sleep in every day. I'm not going to be able to be there for my family. I'm going to crash at the end of every single day. And this year is going to be a repeat and even worse than last year. I'm going to have joint pain everywhere because I'm not stretching or exercising. I'm going to feel groggy. Is that what you want? And by the way, if you have a family, do you want your family to study that as what success looks like and model that for their future, right? So vision to me is really looking at the emotional anchor, the why, the reasoning behind the goal, and then picturing what success looks like. What does it look like when you've achieved this? But then on the opposite side, also picturing what it looks like if you don't achieve it, right? And for me, I did this first when I had anxiety, when I struggled with anxiety when I was in college. I actually pictured myself as a non-anxious person. I pictured myself being a confident public speaker. And that was actually what, provided the gateway for me to overcome anxiety, which now I haven't had any inappropriate anxiety for over 10 years. So it was that powerful to remove that much pain from my life. So the first step to really executing on this first one is take whatever goals you have for this year. And so put it on a sheet, write down the goals for this year. And then what I want you to do on a different piece of paper is right next to that piece of paper, write out exactly what your vision is. Like, what does success look like with, 5 or 10 of the goals you have for this year? What does that vision of success look like for you? Really paint a picture. Like, you come home from work one day, you do this, you feel like this, your family comments on this because of your high boundless levels of energy, right? Really write out the vision of what achieving these goals look like. And you might have to write 3 or 4 visions. Let's say you have 20 goals, 5, 5, 5, 5. Maybe you do one vision for the first 5, second vision for the next 5, right? You don't have to do one vision for every goal, but you can merge multiple goals together and put them into a vision. Once you've done that and you've written out that vision, pinpoint the emotions that come along with that vision, right? And write them down. What is the emotion of you being in the best shape of your life, right? What is the emotion of you doubling your finances, whatever? What's that emotional state, right? And then the last thing you want to write down is, what decisions do I need to make today to put these visions into action, right? What would that person living that vision do today? And then the quicker you can do that action, the quicker you will be on the path to success. And an amateur's approach to goal setting is by only setting goals. An expert's approach to goal setting is setting visions and rooting those visions in anchors. Then you don't even have to set goals when your vision is clear, because you know exactly what you're going, what emotional state you're seeking, what outcome you're seeking, and you don't have to set all these micro goals. So that's the first thing, is throw out your goals, reset it with a vision. And in order to do that, you really have to embrace the second step of dominating your 2025, and that is focusing only on 2 major priorities. This is like one of the hardest things to do, and a goal is not a priority, right? A goal is something that you want to achieve that's measurable, right? That you can achieve an outcome. A priority is really just a category of focus, right? So priority, I want to get in shape. Goal, example of that priority would be, I want to lose 20 pounds by this date. That's a goal, 20 pounds by this date. And a priority is just a bucket of emphasis, right? Now, sometimes you'll find out your goals are the wrong goals. But as long as your priorities are clear, you can adjust your goals within the priority. So if your goal is getting the best shape of your life, and 2 months into the year, you realize, oh, wait, maybe I don't need to lose 20 pounds. Maybe I want to recomp. Maybe I want to build 20 pounds of muscle and lose 20 pounds of fat, which means I'm not going to lose any weight. I'm actually just going to build muscle while burning fat, right? Is that bad? Does that mean you technically didn't reach your goal? No. Your goals will change when you learn new information, but your priorities will not change. So, how can you break your year into 2 major priority buckets? And I always say you want an offensive priority and a defensive priority. You want both, just like a sports team, right? Offense, goal is to score X number of points per game. Defense, goal is to give up no greater than X yards per game or points per game, right? So think about your offense and defense priorities and only allow yourself to have one offensive priority, something you want to go get, and then defense priority, something you want to prevent. So I'll give you an example of this. Like in motocross, like I race dirt bikes, there's 2 priorities that I have this year. Number 1 is my offensive priority, and that's to have world-class technique and speed, right? Those are that's my offense priority, world-class technique and speed. And then my defensive priority is to have 0 injuries all year. So an injury prevention system. So that's defense and that's offense. Those are my 2 priority categories in racing dirt bikes. In business, you're going to have 2 priority categories. You're going to have client acquisition and client satisfaction. So you need one, if you run a business, one major priority around signing up clients and one major priority on serving clients, right? Offense, defense. So think about this for your life. Think about this for your health. Think about this for your family. But more importantly, think about this if you could only have 2 priorities in your entire life, an offensive priority in your entire business, one offensive priority, one defensive priority, what would they be, right? And in business, this is even more critical, right? Is having that one priority for offense, one priority for defense creates clarity across your entire organization. So the framework for this is first identifying what is the number 1 offensive priority and what's the number 1 defense priority. So pull out a piece of paper and write down what's the number 1 thing I want to get in my business, and then what's the number 1 thing I want to prevent in my business, right? And then write down what is that priority category and make sure it relates to one of the goals that you've set, or more importantly, the vision that you've set, right? So be sure that when you set these priorities, you don't go over into shiny object aisle and start approaching new amazing ideas because you get excited. Excitement is a waste of time once you've gotten crystal clear priorities. You don't want to be excited about new ideas and shiny objects all year. You want to be disciplined and focused on those 2 priority categories. Anything that it does not fall within those priority categories, you're going to say no to because it doesn't fit within those areas. So shiny objects are the number 1 culprit of having clear focus. Shiny objects are fun. They give you a little release of dopamine. They make you feel good for a moment, but they steal your dreams right away from you every year, like clockwork. So, number 3, this is the 3rd step, and this is really important. Once you've gotten clear on your vision, right, and you've gotten clear on your top 2 priority categories, now we need to embrace reality, okay? So I like to say embrace reality or get knocked out, right? You need to ruthlessly face the brutal truth of where you are currently at, right? This is such a big mistake I've made too many times to count at the beginning of a year is I don't look at where I'm currently at. So I set this big goal, but then I'm unconscious and unaccepting to where I currently am, right? So let's say you wanted to, lose weight or get in the best shape of your life. A full and honest appraisal of your current shape is going to be mission critical. This could include you taking a photo of your body in the mirror and looking at it for 5 minutes, or, that would be pretty long, but, looking at it for 10, 20, 30 seconds and really asking yourself, what kind of shape are you in? Really auditing, how do I really feel at the end of every day right now, right? The same principle can happen for your business, right? So you want to grow your business by $20 million this year. Where are you currently at, right? What are the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats? SWOT. Do a SWOT analysis of yourself, right? It's a great way to start embracing reality. Is ask yourself, what are my current strengths? What are my current weaknesses? What are my opportunities? And what are my threats? And base all of the answers of strength and weakness, base those answers on historical evidence, okay? Don't say, oh, I'm strong at running $100 million company. What? You don't have any reference experience doing that. Therefore, it is not a strength of yours, right? So I'm great at managing a team of over 100 people. I'm great at, making money. Well, no. Let evidence speak to what your strengths and weaknesses are, right? Now, because society has become obsessed with positive affirmations and, state your goals in the present tense as though you already accomplished them, this is actually kind of like the opposite of the vision step. Is like, yeah, you want to have a clear vision. You want to know what you're going towards. You want to feel that emotion, right? So that you know what you're attacking and going for. But simultaneously, you also want negative emotion. And negative emotion is going to come alongside you embracing reality of where you're currently at. Remember this, all goal setting is from you to get from a current reality to a future reality. And the only reason you would want to go to a future reality is if your current reality isn't cutting it, right? So by looking at your current reality, you're not going to feel good if you do it with complete honesty, right? So you want to feel some bad emotions as to where you're currently at, because that bad emotion is going to be the fuel for you to escape that bad emotion to pursue your vision. So the most important thing here is to not sugarcoat. Don't rationalize. Don't pretend like your mom or your dad or your parent is not involved in this, because what are they going to tell you? I'm so proud of you. Oh, I can't believe, you're so much better than cousin Jimmy, cousin Jimmy who's unemployed and, is addicted to blah, blah. And, you're so much better than him. No, you're not comparing yourself to people, in your family that are at a different level than you. You're comparing yourself to what your version of excellence is, right? So don't sugarcoat it. And one great habit for you to do is, if you do a SWOT analysis, do that and book a team of people, like of mastermind groups, people you can meet with, and regularly update each other as a reality check. Give each other a reality check, right? So talk to someone. Let's say you have 3 or 4 friends that all 3 or 4 of you want to have the best year of your life, right? Meet with those 3 or 4 friends and do a reality check meeting with them, and make sure none of the people in this group are like yes men or women, right? Who are just going to say yes to everything and like say, oh yeah, you're doing all good. No, people who are going to call your BS and say, hey, you said you're going to do this. Here's the reality, right? You need people around you and your family to call out reality, right? All right. So number 4, this one's really important. Once you've gotten clear on where you're going, you've audited your reality, now go big or go broke, right? So this is important. You need to take one massive, terrifying leap as fast as you can. Take one massive, terrifying leap as fast as you can. What does that mean? If your 2025 plan doesn't scare you, then your plan is too small. Your goals are too small. The reason, people don't like to articulate their goals, in some ways, partially laziness, but also it's scary to envision, success at that level. Like if you have a really big vision and to step into that, because the actions it's going to take of you are scary, and they should be scary because what you're currently doing right now isn't cutting it. Otherwise, you would have already reached your goal. Therefore, you're going to have to stop doing pieces of what you're currently doing to reach the next level. You're going to have to remove some things from your life to reach the next level. You're going to have some really hard conversations. But think about this. This massive, terrifying leap that you're going to have to take early in the year to really set things off straight, the fear of taking that leap is actually an indicator of exactly what you should be doing, right? So comfort is a very fascinating thing, right? Most people lead quiet lives of desperation because they're comfortable. They're in the circle of sameness. They're treading water every day, right? So does treading water cause you extreme pain? No, right? You could do it for a long time, right? But if you tread water for 1 month, 2 months, 5 months, 6 months, 7 months, 7 years, 17 years, right? Treading water is not painful in the moment. It's painful when you wake up 7 years from now and you realize you've been treading water for 7 years. So the question to ask yourself is, do you want pain now? Or do you want pain years from now when you realize that you were too scared to take the leap now? You were too scared to take a risk now. So one thing I always try to do at the beginning of each year is take a big, bold leap, make a big, bold decision. In my business, that would be something like doubling my marketing budget or, hiring, at this rate, hiring 10 people in a specific part of our company to show the team I am dead serious about this, right? What's one thing you can spend money or time on in a way that will show yourself and your team that you're dead serious? Can you take one massive leap to hire a personal trainer, right, to get your health in check? Like, this applies to your personal life just as much as it does to your business. So identify, the steps to doing this is first identifying what is the biggest leap you can take. Number 2 is setting a time window through which you're going to take that step. And then number 3 is measuring the immediate impact of that step, right? So anybody can do this. The biggest risk that you have towards this is going to be timid change, complacency, comfort, right? That's the biggest risk. And comfort is more dangerous than danger, if that makes any sense, because comfort is socially accepted. If you go tell people, go to the bar or go to some get together with, your friends who aren't doing anything with their lives, and you tell them, you complain about your job, nothing's changed. Most people are going to relate to that. Go, oh yeah, me too, right? When you instead start saying, hey, I just spent $100,000 on this thing that's going to benefit my life, who can relate to that? None of your existing friend group is going to be able to relate to that, right? So you're going to be criticized when you start taking bigger actions because less people can relate to it. But that's the counterintuitive thing about taking big leaps is you get criticized for it in the now, but then people respect you in the future, right? So it's a big trade-off. So go big or go broke. That's number 5. I'm sorry, number 4. Number 5 is mentor up, right? If you already have someone who is mentoring you, like maybe you're already part of a coaching or consulting arrangement with someone who's mentoring you, now is the time to double down on that mentorship and lean into it and become curious again of the people that you're learning from. So mentor up. If you don't have a mentor that is 10, 20 years beyond you, it's time to up level your mentors, right? To find another mentor. So, Andy and I have talked about this a lot, but we spend over $500,000 a year on coaches, consultants, and mentors because one thing we know for sure is we don't have the answers, right? I don't know what I don't know. I have to, at the beginning of each year, do an inventory of my mentors. And I need to look at whether I'm fully invested in my mentors if I have the right ones, or B, I need to go and update my mentors and go seek new mentors, right? So think about, and by the way, there have literally been studies that have shown that CEOs with active mentors grow their business 3.4 times faster than CEOs without active mentors. Think about that, okay? So it's a big deal. Don't be a lone wolf, okay? Don't think you're going to ball on a budget and learn it yourself, because if you do, the big trade that you're making is time. Yeah, you can learn it yourself, but a lesson that you could have learned in one consulting session with someone, instead you're going to learn 15 years from now, right? And this is why, I saw this dude promoting some new like coaching program he started, and he was like, I built my business from 0 to $15 million in revenue over the last 15 years. And I looked at that, I was like, oh, well, I'll never be mentored by someone who grew that slow, right? I mean, are you kidding me? Why the hell did it take you 15 years to get to 15 million in revenue? Like, how could you learn so slow, right? I can't relate to that. And yes, I'm at a different level than some other entrepreneurs, and I'm way lower than other entrepreneurs, Bezos, Musk. I mean, I'm at a level that's not even close to them, and also at a level that is, beyond other entrepreneurs. It's just, I couldn't imagine if it took me 15 years to grow S&B team to $15 million in revenue. It took us 4 years to do that. And the reason is because I had mentors. Actually, it took 5 years to do that. But think about that. I did what this other person did in 1/3 the time. And it's not because I'm smarter. It's because I found people who were smarter, who had already done what I wanted to do. And I just told them, hey, what do I need to do? What do I need to avoid? I learned from them. I spent money on these mentors. And it's not surprising that if you implement what you learn from people who have already done what you want to do, it's not surprising that it's probably going to work, right? It just comes down to execution. So one thing you really have to think through is, am I learning from people who are 10 to 20 times beyond me, right? 10 plus 20 years beyond me. And here's another thing to think about when it comes to mentors. Don't listen to people who are in I call it the country club rich state, right? Where they're like, they've already made it. And now they tell you like, oh, it's all about family. It's all about balance. No, okay? There's some mentors that you will learn from who are at a stage in their life where they're embracing certain things that they weren't embracing when they were on the come up, right? So you got to make sure that you listen to mentors and be very careful when you listen to mentors based on what stage of life they're in, right? Because sometimes mentors will tell you advice that works for them now, but wasn't necessarily accurate for what got them there. I mean, there's literal, pictures of Bill Gates falling asleep on his computer in this room where he was coding the initial, code of Microsoft. And his food throughout the day is he had like this like sugar, a bag of like sugary, I think it was literally just sugar. And to survive for like weeks at a time, he would basically fall asleep on this computer, pull open this bag of sugar and just like lick the sugar and then go back to programming, right? And, interview Bill Gates now and he's like, oh, it's all philanthropy. It's all balance. It's all... No, at that point in time, he wasn't thinking about philanthropy. He wasn't thinking about the things that he's currently doing. He was grinding insanely hard, right? And understanding the phase of your mentors is critically important. So you have your goals clear. You've embraced reality. Now it's who can I learn from, right? Who can I learn from to short circuit my success? And who do I already have in my corner that I'm just not really tapped into, right? There's many times I've had mentors that I kind of stopped listening to because I got busy or I felt like I knew more than them about something. And often, in the past, it was less about finding a new mentor. It was more about reattaching to the mentor I already had and re-listening to them and re-humbling myself that I don't have all the answers. So choose mentors based on results, based on goal alignment. They have to be aligned with your goals, and make sure you track the ROI of your mentorship, right? And make sure that you understand if the mentor has results in your area or in some element of what you want to accomplish, and you don't get results from that mentor, it's on you. It's lack of execution, right? No perfect strategy will ever beat the execution of the strategy. That's why execution is always before strategy. Your ability to execute is going to be the number one thing that determines whether you get a return from a mentor. So act on every single piece of feedback. Make a list of 5 dream mentors, people you need to reach out to, and reach out to them before the end of today. You're listening to this podcast now. Reach out to them. It is not that hard. As long as you have a big vision and you can communicate that to people that you want to learn from, most times they're going to respond to you. That's how I found almost all my mentors, is by reaching out to them. They didn't come to me because I was 10 times smaller than them. Why the hell would they come to me? No, I had to go out there and say, hey, my name's Little Bill. I'm trying to learn how to blah, 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 and here's my vision, and here's what we've accomplished so far, and here's what we want to create. And sometimes they respond, sometimes they don't. So then what do? Follow up, right? Just like putting someone into a sales process. So mentor up. That's super important. Now, this is the opposite of mentor up. Number 6, cut the dead weight. Cut the dead weight. I remember when I was in college, there was this group of people that I hung out with. They did drugs. They were constantly, sabotaging my success. I remember like the first year I got a 4.0 in college, which, by the way, was all fear. I was just scared. I didn't know what else to do. So I just immersed myself in college and books, and it was a big regret of mine how much time I spent there when I could have been getting real world experience. But nonetheless, I was hanging out with these friends, and I got my first 4.0 in school, and I told them, and then they were like, "Oh man, this isn't you. You're putting too much into this, and blah 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 blah." And then the next day is a few weeks later, and these are people that one of these people was my roommate, and we all kind of lived in the same apartment complex. We were together a lot of the time. Then I found like this new friend, and this friend was in the business school at Temple University where I was at. And this friend was in business school, and I was, raving about this person who was pretty smart in business and investing. And I started hanging out with this person. I shared that with my friends, and they were like, "Oh, you shouldn't hang out with someone like that. Like, you're an artist, Bill. Like, I was doing music at that time and stuff. That's not your kind of person, right?" But deep down, I loved business, and I was just afraid to share it with my current friend group. So long story short, and this was one of the hardest decisions I ever made, was I told these people that I was spending time with, these friends, I can't be your friends anymore. Like, it was a really awkward conversation where I was just like, literally, I'm sorry, I'm going this way. You guys aren't going that way. And we're not going to be hanging out anymore, right? And they thought I was kidding. "Oh, dude, next weekend, do you want to hang out?" No, I'm dead serious. Next weekend, "Oh, do you want to?" No. Next weekend, no. Then, I was still playing music in the band, and, some of what I was doing there and the interactions and relationships I formed there was completely against what I wanted to do in business. And I had to part ways with my band, and I was lead singer of the band. And it was like a tough conversation. I had to cut the losses in order, not losses. I had to cut the friends that no longer were on my path. And I have done this at least 5 times in my life where there's like significant connections and friends I had where I had to say, we're not going in the same direction anymore, right? And I had to choose my dreams over those relationships. And what's awesome is, just like, in nature, when you cut, a dead branch, the branch grows back. That same thing happens in people. When you cut off relationships that are no longer serving you, a better relationship grows in its place, right? And that's happened for me every single phase of growth I've been through. This fast forwarded to just a couple years ago. I was spending time with the ClickFunnels community. We were in, Russell Brunson's inner circle group. And, my partner, Andy, and I were, at a different stage in our business where we didn't want to spend all of our time around people who were, focused on, doing webinar sales and, stuff that we had done a couple years ago. We had outgrown that, right? We were at a different level of growth. So like these were high level people making over, 8 figures a year in revenue, and still it wasn't the direction. So I had to replace my friend group again. And now I'm spending time with people who are doing hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue because that's my next stage. That's where I'm at. And if I grow faster than these people, then there may be another conversation and relationship update, right? And it happens in constant phases in your life if you let it. But most people don't have the courage to change their friend group. But this is like one of the top statistical indications of success is who you spend time with, right? So make sure that you assess, number one, who's in your circle right now. Number two, what of these people in your circle, what do they have to do with your goals? Put your list of goals and vision on one page, and then look at the people you spend time with and ask yourself, what does this person have to do to my goals? What does this person have to do to my goals? What does this person have to do with my goals, right? And you'll very clearly be able to see, hey, where I'm going doesn't align with who I'm currently hanging out with. So last but not least is once you've identified who's not serving you anymore and, communicate that to someone, then now you've opened yourself up for another connection, right? And you need to embrace that, which ties into the finding of mentors, which is the prior step. So don't think that I'm saying you completely cold turkey cut relationships from your life that it's always great to have relationships with high school friends of yours, middle school, elementary school. I'm not saying cut every relationship that doesn't serve your goals. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying be conscious of the people you spend time with, and be conscious of the people that you just want a connection with because they're friends of yours, and be conscious of the people you want connections with because they relate to your goals. Segment this in your mind and understand if you merge these two things, and you're not going to get either of them, right? If you try to treat your friends, people you just want to be friends with, as people who are going to propel you towards your goals, they're not going to be your friends for long, right? Because you're going to fall out of touch with them. Similarly, don't treat people, who you want to have support you towards your goals as just unconditional love friends, right? Treat them a little bit more intentionally around your goals, right? So remove someone, reposition someone. This is going to be a very important step in 2025. I know it is for me every year. Number 7, this one's important. I want you to follow just one day of excellence habits. One day of excellence habits. What do I mean by that? Oftentimes at the beginning of the year, a lot of people have read James Clear's book, Atomic Habits. And people say, I'm gonna overhaul all my habits all at once. I'm going to do my fitness. I'm going to set goals every morning. I'm going to meditate every morning. I'm going to do this. I'm going to da-da-da-da. And you freak yourself out. It's impossible to create habit change across 15 different habits all at once. What I want you to do is focus just on one day of excellence. One day of excellence. What do I mean by that? Think about your top 5 habits that you want to build around in 2025. Like, let's say you want to meditate, you want to work out every day, you want to eat healthy food every day, and you want to spend more uninterrupted time with your kid every day. Okay, great. Now we have 4 categories of excellence habits. Instead of, trying to create some general habit formation goal around these 4 areas, I want you to just do all 4 of these areas one day, right? One full day, meaning One day, I want you to eat clean food as per your new habit. One day, I want you to wake up early and work out. One day, I want you to spend more uninterrupted conscious time with your kid, right? One day, I want you to meditate. One day, I want you to write your goals. All long-term, multi-day habits start with one day, right? Anyone can do one day of one habit. So let's say you have 5 areas of habits you want to form in your life. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. 5 days, right? Day 1, do habit number 1. Day 2, do habit number 2. Day 3, habit number 4. Number 5, right? Got it? So, one day, one habit each. Those 5 days will be the most important 5 days you spend in forming excellence habits for yourself this year. Then the next chapter, once you've done this for 5 days, then you try to just do it, all of them, all 5 of those habits, for just one day of the next 5-day week. Then the next week, you try to do it 2 days in the next 5-day week. So Monday, Tuesday. Next week, you try to do it 3 days of the 5-day week. Over 6 weeks, right? You've practiced each of those habits at least once. Then you will have done them for 1 day of a 5-day week, 2 days of a 5-day week, 3 days of 4 days, and 5 days of a 5-day week. And you will be past the 21-day habit formation window, and you will be able to do these things autopilot for all the rest of 2025 if you kick off your year with just one day. So don't overhaul your life, everything at once. Just start with 1 day, one habit, and stack those habits on one another. 1 day of excellence. Okay, number 8. This one's critical, and I mentioned it before. Understand that execution beats strategy every day of the week, okay? It's not about having the perfect plan. It's not about having this, if you want to work out this year, it's not about having the perfect plan, okay? You're better off going to the gym and working out than you are creating some perfect plan, right? You're better off, doubling your marketing budget than you are creating the perfect plan on how you're going to double your marketing budget. You're better off hiring 5 people than you are creating the plan on how you're going to hire 5 people. Because the best plans come from the best execution, right? You can't plan if you don't take massive action. It's impossible because you have no experience. All of your plans are going to be wrong if you're taking minor action. You're not taking action in these areas. Your plans are going to form as you take massive action. So let's say you show up to the gym first day, you don't really have a perfect plan, but you still hop on the treadmill, you do a couple random weight machines, and boom, you're out of there in 45 minutes. Great, congratulations, you've worked out. That's big. Now, day 2, you're going to be a better strategist because of the fact you took action. You went to the gym, you worked out. Now you're going to be able to start thinking, all right, what do I want to do first? Well, this new gym I just signed up for, the entry's here. I think I'm going to hit the treadmill first next time, and then I'm going to do my lower body over here and this thing. So you start understanding more about how you're going to plan once you get into it, right? So put execution above strategy 100% of the time. A mediocre plan executed perfectly will always beat the perfect plan not executed. A mediocre plan executed perfectly will always beat the perfect plan not executed. Execution is mandatory. Strategy is not mandatory. Execution is mandatory, right? So think about time that you spent trying to create the perfect plan and how often that plan ended up not going to plan. Think about it. How often does a plan ever go to plan, right? So think about, how can I take so much action, adapt quickly, and let my massive action craft my plan? So do not let paralysis by analysis take over. If you're looking to write your own book, write the first word. Take the action. The book will come out of you as you start taking action writing, right? This is that whole Jerry Seinfeld thing where Jerry Seinfeld, used to lock himself in a room, and he used to say to himself, now it's a room with no windows, and he would lock himself in the room and he would say, you don't have to write, but the only thing that you can do for this hour is write. So it's a windowless room with a table, a notepad, and a pencil. And he would tell himself, you don't have to write, but the only thing you can do in this room is write. Right? And by putting yourself in a situation like that, you put yourself into action mode. If you want to write a book, your book's already within you. You just haven't taken enough action to identify what the book is, right? The book's already within you. The actions, the strategies that you know are going to transform your life, they're already within you. You just haven't taken enough action for those to expose themselves yet, right? So more action makes a better strategy 100% of the time. So launch it this week. Launch it today. Do it now, right? All right, number 9. Skyrocket your standards. Demand more. Demand more from everyone around you, from around yourself. Everyone's like, oh, if perfect way to live a happy life is have no expectations. Just, if you want to have a happy life, just don't expect anything. This is like mental cancer, right? Don't expect anything. How are you going to advance in your life, right? Don't expect anything. Like, no, you need to expect great things. You need to expect excellence, right? The higher expectations that you set for yourself and others is going to be in direct proportion to the results that you see. If you have high expectations for yourself, you're going to set high expectations on others. So the first place to start here in skyrocketing your standards is your own standards, right? We are in a role model leadership world, today's day and age, right? Where you can't get of any other person on your team, your family, you can't get performance from someone in excess of what you demand of yourself, right? So if you feel like you're setting low standards or you're tolerating mediocrity in your life, it's because you're tolerating mediocrity in yourself. Bottom line, right? So once you start killing mediocrity in yourself, you will kill it in everything around you, right? And this is a really tough thing to understand. Like, I remember when I first started my company, S&B team, I was very hesitant to set high standards because I was worried about people quitting. That was like a big fear of mine, especially when I only had like 4 employees, because any person quitting would be like the end of the world, right? So I would just like say, you can like work when you want, you can do what you want, because I was operating from a place of fear, right? But what I realized is that when I was operating from that place of fear, I was harming everyone on my team, right? I was letting all of my team down because I was too much of a coward to put my foot down for what excellence looked like, right? So in hindsight, I should have been setting crazy high expectations from the point of the interview with everyone that I was working with, because then I wouldn't have had to part ways with all the people that I hired at my company on the premise of these mediocre expectations that I had. As soon as like year 2 or 3 hit in my company, I started feeling the confidence of setting high expectations. Really, when we got to around 15 employees was when I was like, all right, I can put the foot down now, right? And I wish I did that earlier, because almost all of those 15 employees we had at that time, eventually we had to let go of because they didn't match this new higher standards me. So I wish I set higher standards faster. And standards basically come down to this. You get what you tolerate. If you have low standards, then you will tolerate deviance from your standards. You will tolerate mediocrity. You will tolerate people treating you like crap. You will tolerate much more if you have low standards. The person with high standards does not tolerate much, They won't tolerate mediocrity. They won't tolerate people treating them the wrong way. They won't tolerate mediocre performance, right? So raising your standards, this is so critical. So define your baseline targets based on the prior thing of setting your goals. Define your goals, that vision for them, and then what standards do I have to put my foot down around? And never underestimate the capacity of those around you. Setting higher standards for your family, like, remember this, the human gene is the most adaptable gene of all living species. That's why we have adapted faster in terms of our DNA strands adaptation rate, has adapted faster than any other species, is because we are the most adaptable, right? That is why we are currently winning in today's societies, because it's merited a ton of adaptation. So don't underestimate the capacity of those around you. If you're talking about human beings, like, the capacity to grow is profound. When you start setting higher standards on others, most times they're going to step up to it. And if they can't step up, then you're going to have to cut the ties, eventually with the people who can't step up. So that's number 9, which leads us to number 10. And this is number 10 for a reason, because it is very critical, and all of the prior steps require this step in order for you to have momentum this year. And I want you to think about this like this: quick wins or bust. Quick wins or bust. This is the power of rapid momentum. When you start taking more action, raising your standards, get clear on your vision, you're starting to feel emotionally anchored to what you want to accomplish, right? You want quick wins, right? When people say like immediate gratification is the enemy, okay, yeah, that's great. The problem is immediate gratification is a huge reward mechanism in the human brain. So even if you're going to take actions that will take a long time to pay off, you still want quick wins, because quick wins are what motivate you to keep going. So regardless of what it is you're pursuing this year, health goal, family goal, business goal, revenue, finance goal, whatever goal you're pursuing, you still want quick wins, and you need to celebrate and pull out those quick wins like your life depends on it. So momentum is more valuable than money, 100% of the time. Courage, creativity, more valuable than money. Everyone's like, oh, I'll start my own business when I have more money, or it takes money to make money. No, it takes courage to make money. It takes momentum to make money, right? And momentum is just one quick win after another, right? So think about this. Even if you were to set the longest term goal ever, like I want to run a marathon, by the end of 2027, or, you set a goal years out, right? I want to run a marathon by this time. What are you going to do? Just have no measurement mechanism for years until that day hits? No. You're going to look for your first win as quickly as possible. Then you're going to look for your second win as quickly as possible. This is why you got to measure that which you want to manage, right? So if I were doing a training for a triathlon years out, I'm going to try and track as much as I can about my health now so that I can experience quick wins and keep myself motivated before that goal. So quick wins financially, quick wins in time, quick wins in business. Like, think about, how can I get into a quick win momentum? Because momentum is literally one quick win after another. Even if you look at sports games, right? Think about sports games where the momentum has shifted, where the team that is down by 27 points in the Super Bowl at halftime, right, or whatever, where did the momentum shift? Did it just all of a sudden they won the game at the end of the game? No. There was a quick win that happened. They got a big play. Then there was a touchdown that happened. Then they made a stop on defense. Quick win, quick win, quick win, quick win, right? Whole compilation of quick wins create a big win, right? So you want as many 24 to 48 hour victories as you can possibly get. And keep in mind, quick wins are also action, right? You showing up to the gym, you doing your first lower body workout, you doing your first meal plan with a nutrition expert. These are all quick wins, right? So monitor the quick wins if you want to be leveraging momentum and force quick wins to come out very quickly. So don't start with your long-term plans by only focusing on the long-term outcome that you want. Also focus on the milestones and the accomplishments that you want along the way. So the big takeaway here is these are the 10 steps that I want you to embrace and really reflect on in terms of making 2025 your best year yet. Within these 10, you're going to find something special. Number 1 is replace your goals with a vision, right? Number 2 is only focus on 2 major priorities. Number 3, embrace reality as fast as you possibly can. Number 4, take one massive, terrifying leap as fast as you can. Number 5, mentor up or reattach to the mentors that you already have. Number 6, cut the dead weight, those relationships that are weighing you down, stealing millions of dollars from your bank account. Follow one day. Number 7, follow one day of all of your excellence habits. One day, okay? Do this over 6 weeks. Understand, number 8, that execution will always beat strategy 100% of the time. So focus on execution. Number 9, skyrocket your standards. Raise your standards to the highest they've ever been to yourself and those around you. And last but not least is quick wins or bust. Seek quick wins as fast as you can in relation to all of your goals this year, and you will be off to a absolutely great start. And hopefully you won't be like the 90+% of people who never reach their goals when they set New Year's resolutions. I'll see you in the next episode. 2025 is going to be an amazing year if you demand it to be.